Hi everyone, happy Sunday. So I am finally getting back to this picture. I colored this a few months back with a watercolor base. This is the book's called Cat Coloring Therapy by Grace J. It is hands down one of the cutest books I own. I absolutely adore it. She has two books in the series and I love them both. And I was terrified to color in them because I didn't want to mess them up because they, were a little more expensive books. I finally got brave and did the watercolor base, I don't know, April, May, and then time just got away from me and I finally got around to finishing it up. I am going to put up in the right top corner the part one to this where I actually do the watercolor base. I think I did that while sitting outside on my porch one day. So if you want to go check that out, feel free. So I decided to try Arteza pencils in here. It's really funny. I tend to reach more for my Arteza pencils than I do anything else at this point. And they do well in the books I use them in, but I also just like the brightness of them. They just have, not saying the other pencils don't either. I really like my Castle Arts, and I have I have two new pencil sets that I haven't even used yet. Well, probably more than one. So I have plenty of other sets I need to be using. However, it seems like I am most comfortable with my Arteza pencils lately. So, and this year I feel like I definitely used more pencils than I did probably last year. Um, so I've been pretty proud of that, to be quite honest. So I tried out the Arteza pencils, y'all. They work like a dream in this book. They did so well. So well. I absolutely love them. I will try other pencils eventually, but to be honest, these did so well. More than likely I'll want to stick with these, except when it comes to, wanting other colors and stuff. But the colors that I picked, I'm going to put them all in the description. All the colors I used. Excuse me while I take a drink of my Coke Zero. So, yeah. I didn't do a lot of videos this week till the very end of the week, and then I kind of bombarded y'all with new releases. Um, I have just felt off since I've come back. I felt out of sorts from my, ever since I come back from my trip. My trip was an experience, and we're going to talk about that. So I've got plenty to catch y'all up on today. It is definitely going to be a chock full color and chat because there's a lot going on. And we're going to go with the good news first because I also got some not so good news this past week that has really started stressing me out. And I will talk about that, but we'll save that towards the end. So yeah, have I covered everything? Yeah. All I end up using is just the Arteza pencils, just a touch of gel pen on those little glasses. Oh, the other thing was, my plan originally was to do this in March in honor of Tammy at Tammy Colors 2. It was her 50th birthday. And this is going to go under her tag. I think it's Fantasy for Tammy's 50th or something like that. I'll have to put it in the description. My plan was to color the cat like her cat Domino, who's a gorgeous, cute little black and white cat. I love black and white cats. They are definitely, I love all cats, but I have to admit I do have a really soft spot towards the black and white cats. I guess maybe because they get looked over a lot, they, for crazy superstitious reasons, or they don't photograph well, or trust me, I've heard a lot of weird excuses, but they tend to get overlooked a lot, and so I guess that's why I always root for the little guys. Anyway, so the cat. Hi, Bagheera. Speaking of black cats, what do you want, buddy? I don't know if y'all can hear him. Probably just hear me talking to nothing. Meow. Well, speaking of black cats, it's my bowling ball kitty. Yeah, you want to say hello? Hopefully y'all can hear him. Yeah. He's been extra affectionate lately. He's always been super skittish, not super affectionate, though once you get, he loves brushies. It's funny, for as skittish as he is, there's certain things like brushing him that he just loves, and he will flop and lay and just let you brush him for 20 minutes, and just, he has the loudest purr. But he's been getting up when I've had to lay down in the afternoons, just due to low energy. He has been getting up in the bed and practically snuggling with me, which is very unusual for him. For those of you who don't know, that are new to the channel, first off, welcome. Secondly, I have 6 cats. Big cat lady, as you can tell from this picture. Used to have my high score was 13 at one point, and then just over the years, you know, age and illness, we've whittled our way down to 6. One of them, Leroy Jenkins, is pretty young. He's about 3 or 4, though he's a lemon cat because he has his own health problems. All the other ones are about 12 or 13 or older, and Bagheera is one of them. He was rescued at 6 weeks, speaking of black cats, because somebody, well, my ex-husband's first wife, they were under her porch, and I guess her dad owned the land, and he threatened to drown the kitten because it was a black cat if somebody didn't come get it. So I cannot say I absolutely love where I live, because sometimes y'all, I just want to slap some sense into people. Yeah, wish. Anyway, so my ex-husband went under the porch to drag him out. He was very feral, as was his mother and the rest of his litter. He was the only black cat in the litter, and this cat has never known a rough day in his life from 6 weeks on, and he is now 14 or 15. He has always been ultimately pampered inside, living the best posh life that he can possibly live. And this cat still acts half feral. He is sitting on my foot. He's laying on my foot right now, actually, being very sweet. But this is actually kind of unusual. If you look at him the wrong way across the room, he will take off and hide under the bed. He does not do loud noises. He does not do strange people. If my husband has to give him his medicine while I'm gone, he will hiss at my husband because he'll even hiss at me. If I come in a room too quick and he's on the floor and it's like, you know, pitch black and he's a black cat and you can't see him, he will hiss at me. And let me tell you, there's nothing more terrifying than going in a pitch black room and then just hearing this, like, just really loud, because he can hiss, like, you know, sounds pretty scary. Nothing more terrifying for that brief moment than hearing a hiss like that come out of the dark. But he doesn't, he's not a fighter or biter, he's a hider. So, but I always feel bad when we have like pest control show up and stuff, because he stuffs, we have a bed raised up in my office area, the room I'm in right now. Plenty of room for him to get under. He is a big boy. Always has been. Food is his favorite thing in the world, other than napping. He up till the last few years, he's always been big, you know, real playful and stuff too. He's just a big boy. And so he has this bed that would be easy for him to get under and hide. But instead, he squeezes himself under our bed. And I'm always worried he's going to hurt himself doing that. But of course, if I don't want to take away his comfort spot either, if that makes any sense. Anyway, all right, so he's just going to lay on my foot for a while. So, yeah, okay, so let's talk about the good. Well, it was overall a good trip. But let me tell y'all, this trip, I felt my age more than I had at any other point, any other year we've done this. So each year, my brother and I, usually it's held in June, go to a gaming convention outside of Philadelphia in Oaks, Pennsylvania called Too Many Games. I believe that we counted it up. This was our 5th year going because they canceled 2020 and then we went in October last year because they just moved it. Then this year it was back to June. So it's usually at the end of June every year we go. My brother is 12 years younger than me, but we have a lot in common. We get along great. It's almost like, we were born a lot closer. We get along. We have so much in common. But just during the year, it's so hard for us to get together and hang out. So this is like our time to catch up and just hang out. And I always look forward to it. So anyway, this was our 5th year, and of course, COVID still being COVID, whether or not you, I'm not taking any commentary on that or opinions. COVID is still a thing. If you don't like it, there's a lot of other channels out there. So, sorry, not sorry, I guess, but anyway. COVID's still a thing, and because of my chronic illnesses, because my brother still lives with my parents, my mom has some health issues. It's something that we still have to be very conscious of. So, this year they said they were going to require masks, which I was looking forward to at the convention, but I knew the plane ride would be like the rough part of the trip, because and right before we left, that's when it started. Everybody I know that was traveling somewhere was coming back sick with it. So I prepared. I made sure I use the 3M Aura masks. I use those. They're N95 masks during the entire trip. While they made my face break out something fierce, I think it was just something. My skin's sensitive, so I don't know if it was the mask or it was the change in humidity levels so quick. They did their job. I did not get sick the whole time I was there. Wore those the whole time. My brother also wore an N95, but I don't know which ones he had. I bought a portable air filter to take on the plane. I will link that down in the description along with the mask for any of you that are traveling. If you really want to, I can't obviously guarantee anything, but this is what me and my brother did, and it seemed to work for us. With the mask, we did not take them off at all on the plane. We had maybe a 2-hour plane ride both ways, and we did not take them off to eat or drink or anything. So I think that was the key. When we were at the convention, we took them off to eat once in a area where there weren't as many people, and it was an open kind of expo center warehouse space. The air quality was still low. We probably should have went outside. I don't recommend doing that. That was probably the riskiest thing we did. But we didn't eat out. We ate in the hotel room. And we had the air filter going on the plane. It's quiet, that nobody can hear it. And we also had it running in our hotel room as well, while we were out. And it says it covers 300 square feet of space. So, through everything that happened, we still managed not to get sick. So, I also had a CO2 monitor to just measure air quality. It was one of those things where if the air quality was really low, we were extra vigilant about making sure our masks were tight, not taking them off or anything, and trying to limit how often we were in low quality air areas, which was difficult to do, but it was still helpful to have it with us so we knew. So it's called a AirNet 4. I'm going to put a link to that in the description as well. So, some travel tips for any of you that are planning to travel anytime soon. Baby Kira. I guess he got tired because I wasn't petting him anymore. Anyway, so some tips there. And like I said, my boss flew to Texas the same weekend I was gone. Of course, she didn't mask. She went down there, went to the college her daughter's going to. It was for some type of camp that she was going to. Was down there for a few days and then flew back and come back, ended up getting COVID. And like I said, unfortunately, most of the people I know that are traveling, well, even people I know that aren't traveling, are getting sick right now. So I would say, just I think the key piece for us was a good quality N95 mask or a rated respirator, and just not taking it off for anything. Now, had we been on the plane for 8, 9 hours, that would have been impossible. Even as it was, going that long without eating or drinking anything was a little rough, but it was doable. Same with the convention. There were times I went 4, 6 hours without eating or drinking, and it sucked and it stressed me out. But um, it kept me safe, and I just can't afford to get sicker, and I can't afford for my family to get sicker. Man, allergies have really been messing with my voice the last few days. I just noticed that. Sound like I'm going through puberty almost, where it's breaking up. It's really weird. Already been there, done that. So anyway, the other big thing was we were, flying, and they were already talking about plane cancellations being a thing. And I was like, I just knew. I just knew. I mean, because that's just how my luck runs in life as a whole. I'm perpetually, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen to me for some reason. I was like, well, if it's going to happen, at least let it happen on the flight back, since we won't be in as much of a hurry. And unfortunately, the fates did not listen to me. And so we left that Thursday morning. We got to the airport in Nashville. We checked in. We're sitting there waiting. 30 minutes before the flight took off, they canceled it. They said it was due to weather. Now, y'all, that was a bunch of BS, like nobody's business, because especially the new best friend forever I made later that day was telling me that in Philadelphia it wasn't even raining that day, and there was no wind to speak of. So they do that, by the way, rather than telling you it's a pilot shortage or something. So they don't have to cover hotel rooms or rental cars or other accommodations you have to make. So, a little tip there I learned. Anyway, so of course we're like, oh, Lord have mercy. Here we go. We ain't even out of the state yet, and everything's already going awry. So he got on the phone with, we were flying American, got on the phone with American Airlines. And Nashville, while a decent sized airport, does not have a ton of flights to any particular destination each day. American only had a couple. I think that was probably the last flight that American had out of the day. They only probably do two. And then Southwest and Frontier each had one, but they were already gone. So they're like, well, tomorrow's the earliest, and we hadn't even looked to see if that one was fully booked yet. And so we're like, oh gosh, no, we do not want to. I do not want to have to go back, wait 24 hours, come back for the possibility it's going to be canceled again, right? That especially became a worry as TJ was standing in line to get our new tickets, and the guy behind him said he had been trying to get to Philadelphia for 3 days to go home. And every day the flight had been canceled. And so we were like, there's no way we can wait, because if we do and it gets canceled, we're just not going to be able to go, So I had the bright idea of, hey, let's look at New York, and then we only have to drive 2 hours down to Pennsylvania. We can move our rental car up to New York. And so we found a flight to LaGuardia going a couple hours later. And we decided to do that. He couldn't get the rental car switched. So we put our heads together. We're like, okay, so we'll go to LaGuardia. We'll do Amtrak down to Philadelphia. And then we'll take an Uber over to the airport to pick up the rental car. And thus began such a long day. Such a long day. At first, we were all optimistic. I was very positive about it. I was joking that, like a video game, we're going on a side quest, and that at least this year will be memorable, and this and that. We get to see a peek of New York. That was actually the very first big trip we took together was to New York. So it was kind of neat to, I'm like, oh, we get to at least take a peek there again before. And we talked about using Amtrak before one year to go on a longer trip, stay in New York a few days, then go down to Pennsylvania. So I was like, this'll give us some experience with Amtrak. Again, it's easy to be positive when you're still kind of you're irritated, but you're still not worn down by the day. So the flight to LaGuardia went. We were able to fly up there. Then instead, we should have went to JFK because JFK has a direct subway line to Penn Station, and we didn't realize that. Something to note for the future. So we had taken an Uber from JFK, from LaGuardia to Penn Station during rush hour traffic in New York City. Wasn't an Uber, it was a taxi. Bless that guy's heart, he tried his best. He really did. I made sure we tipped him well because he really tried. Everybody, by the way, was super nice on this trip. Like, I know sometimes you get this idea that, people in, I don't know why you get this conception that people in New York are rude to tourists and stuff like that. We've never experienced that. Everybody's always been super nice. So I recommend that. That's definitely should be a bucket list trip if you are a traveling kind of person, because it is a lot of fun. Anyway, so we got to see a glimpse of things. We actually got to see Penn Station, which was a stop we didn't get to make the last time we were doing the touristy thing. And so that was cool. So I bought the Amtrak tickets, and it was obvious we weren't going to make the train on time. Fortunately, I had bought refundable tickets that had the flexibility. I could schedule them on a later train, as long as there were seats available. So I was able to move them. Really loved that, by the way. That was awesome. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so flexible. This is great. So we had some downtime, and we were starving because we hadn't eaten anything. There was a KFC. Yeah, we didn't eat anything exotic in New York. There was a KFC right across from Penn Station, and we ended up getting that just because we didn't have time to try anything exotic. So we ended up eating dinner on the steps at Penn Station, because that's like a spot where people can hang out and stuff, and just kind of people watch, because we were across from Madison Square Garden. And it was just really cool. It was actually a really nice day in New York. And at that moment, I was tired and I was worn down. I wasn't feeling as optimistic, but it was fun. Like, that moment was really cool. So then we go inside. We have no idea what's going on in regards to having to check baggage, do all this stuff, and so the line we took is called the Vermonter, and it was from going from Vermont all the way down to DC, of course, having different stops, and Philadelphia being our stop. So we had to wait a bit. We got on the train. We had to split, or we got on the Amtrak. We had to split up because we did not realize that the daily commuters all, of course, get an alternate seat, so it was hard for us to find a pair of seats together. And so we're sitting there, and they were masked on the train, which I appreciated, and so off we went. And the lady that was beside me at first was nice. She was just really quiet, and probably, I left her be. I wasn't going to chat her up. I don't start conversations. I can chat up somebody if they feel chatty, but I was tired too, and I was like, I'm not a conversation starter, I guess. So then she leaves, and I was going to have my brother sit with me, and this guy shows up and says, is this seat taken? I was like, no, it's fine. And so he sits down, and we're on our way to Philadelphia, and the porter guy comes through to check tickets. And my brother and I were the only ones that had printed out tickets, because we were obviously tourists. We were obviously not daily commuters. And it was so funny because the porter's like, you're with that guy up there, aren't you? And he was pointing towards my brother. I was like, yeah, that's my brother. Because we were the only two that didn't have him on our phone. And so that prompted a conversation with my new best friend forever. That was sitting beside me. He was asking, like, he was saying, oh, I live in Philadelphia. What are you guys just visiting? And so I started talking about the convention. We got to talking about gaming. Real interesting guy. Like, I have to say, I'm normally not, I'm an introvert. I'm not somebody who can normally chat up people, but like when I do, I always feel like I meet the coolest people, right? And so this guy had lived in New York for he had went from Pakistan to New York to college, and it's the first time he'd ever been on a plane. And then he lived in New York for 18 years, and his wife wanted to move to Philadelphia, so they did that. And then of course he commutes back and forth to work, and he travels a lot for work and stuff. And so we got to talking a lot about travel, and he's been to Nashville a lot, so of course we talked about Nashville some and how much it's changed over the years. And he was a bit of a gamer back in the day too, so we got to talking about that. And eventually my brother and I want to travel to Europe and stuff. And he was saying, you know, if you go anywhere over there, he said, I highly recommend you go to Dublin. He said, it is so much fun. He said that was one of my favorite places to go when I was doing a lot more traveling. And so it was just really neat, like to get to talk to somebody who's seen a lot of the world and stuff. And just sometimes when I'm here in this little tiny town in Tennessee, it the idea of there being, you know, a bigger sphere and a bigger, you know, all these people with all these experiences in the world that are so different from mine, you kind of lose that sometimes, you know, lose that perspective. And so I love these trips in particular because, like I said, we always wind up meeting different people than you would normally see day to day. And that's one of my favorite reasons for doing these trips. So that was just a real fun experience. But yeah, no, I chatted with this guy all the way to Philadelphia. it was really nice. Like I said, just everybody was just so nice. I don't know. I don't know why people get so. In fact, in some ways, I feel like, you know, they used to talk. The biggest thing used to be supposedly Southern hospitality. Everybody's usually so nice in the South, but I'll be honest, the way things have been, especially in the last decade, I feel like I have better experiences when I travel up north than when I do around here. So I don't know. Your mileage may vary though. So anyway, so we got to New York. We were doing all that. We got on the Amtrak. We didn't get to the station in Philadelphia. I can't remember what it's called until 8 o'clock. And we were going to take the subway, the SEPTA, over to the airport. And the guy's kind of like, nah. He said, especially because you know, don't typically ride on it. He said, if I was going to do that, I would have done it earlier. But the later it gets, you know, you got to worry a little bit about safety and stuff. He said, I would recommend you to just take an Uber to the airport. So that is what we did. Super helpful guy, like I said. So I appreciated that. We got the Uber. We went over. We were able to get the rental car. It was 8:30. I'd already called the hotel and was like, "Hey, we're just behind. We're just running way behind here." And so we're trying to get out of Philadelphia. We're taking a different route. Normally, we take the scenic route when we go because we get to see all those houses that have just been there for years and years. A lot of historical homes. It's really beautiful up there. My brother and I have said, you know, win the lottery, down the road, long-term goals. We would love to move up there. And like, it'd be even cool to live, you know, close to each other on the same street or something. But it's just such a pretty area. We always love going up there. It's a suburb right outside of Philadelphia. So, it reminds us a little bit of home, but because of the way things are laid out. However, the houses and just the age of the historical aspect of the area is really, really drawing to us. So, we hit a traffic jam because they start paving on our way out of Philadelphia, and we're staring at the Philadelphia skyline for probably a good half an hour, just barely moving in traffic. And by then, I was so tired, y'all. I was so tired. By the time we got to the hotel and in the room and set up and everything, it was midnight. And my brother and I both were just like, oh my gosh. So the convention doesn't start till Thursday at 1 o'clock. But we like to come in Friday at 1 o'clock. We like to come in on Thursday so that we can go get groceries at night. stock up the room, relax a little bit, so we're not racing the whole weekend. And that just didn't end up happening this time. We had to just say, we stopped at Wawa's, which is also one of our, like, we have a checklist of things we have to do when we're in Pennsylvania, and going to the Wawa's next to the hotel, it's like, it's become routine. It's become a thing, like the scenic route. And, so of course we had to do a stop. They are going to put a Wawa's down here in Tennessee, y'all. Apparently by 2024 there's supposed to be one down here. And let me tell you, people down here get wind of the awesomeness that is a Wawa's. And I guess if you're a Sheetz lover, you probably want to fight me right now. I haven't been in a Sheetz, so I can't tell you one way or the other on that. But people down here get wind of a Wawa's and how awesome it is. Like, they're going to be everywhere. Just mark my words. Anyway, so we're like, we'll do the grocery thing tomorrow morning before the convention. So we get up, y'all, and we go over to Walmart. I am not kidding you. We walk into the Walmart that's across from the hotel. We walk in, start to go towards the pharmacy section to pick up, I was going to get some toothpaste or something, and the lights go out. It's like it just, we brought the bad luck with us. We brought the bad juju with us. And so we're trying to get a few things. They're like, the registers are going to go down in so many minutes. If you only have a few things to get, we can probably check you out in time. We grab what we can. I am about to hand her the money. Had she been able to open that register, we would have done it. And right at that moment, they went down. So we had to walk out of Walmart without anything. And we were just like, okay, we're just going to go ahead and go to the convention because it's about to start and there were some panels we wanted to go to. At that point, y'all, I really started being concerned that we had some sort of bad luck following us and that we were going to have to do, burn some sage or do something before we come home so it doesn't come with us. And, because it just seemed like, we were able to get there and we were able to figure out everything. It's just, everything was so hard. Like, it just seemed like we were getting hung at every location. Like, it was just exhausting, right? And the room wasn't cooling down like it should be. And we were just kind of like, okay, well, maybe, maybe the thermostats just, they make you think it's turning on, but they've got it set to a certain temperature and they're not going to lower it. So we were just trying to be okay with that. As it's not as humid up there, it wasn't as bad. As long as we had the fan in the bedroom going, we were okay. So we went to the convention, and already kind of, I'm already worn out from the day before. When I have days like that, sometimes it takes me 2 or 3 days to recover. So I was already running low on gas here. And we saw a few panels. We were there kind of late, I think about 6 or 7. Then we went and picked up a couple little bottles of wine or whatever. There's a little store on the way that we like to stop at. And we were trying to figure out where to go to the grocery store because we just didn't want to go back to that Walmart. We don't like that Walmart anyway because we seem to always have trouble in that one. I don't know why. But they had like a Red Nurse, I think that's what you call it, market next to the liquor place. So we're like, well, let's try this place. And it's like a Kroger, but Walmart prices. Maybe not quite Walmart prices, but like a lot cheaper than Kroger typically runs. But it was like real nice inside, like a smaller Kroger. And we found everything we needed. Didn't, spend a crazy amount or anything. My brother was diagnosed as type 2 diabetic this year, so we had to change how we typically eat because, of course, normally we just get a bunch of junk food and stuff. And so this year we were a little more health conscious and on the trip and stuff, and picking a little bit healthier stuff. And we did eat out some, but we also, had wraps and stuff like that in the room. So, but that worked out great. We're just going to start doing that every year instead of going to Walmart. So that actually worked out pretty good. Though it was really funny. we got our lanyards this year with our passes say the final boss package, because they have different tiers, and the final boss package is always a special event on Saturday night. Plus, you get extra goodies and extra. Well, I guess the kids don't call it swag anymore. At one point, it was swag. Anyway, you get extra stuff, and so our tag said final boss, and the guy who was checking us out, I guess he thought he was a comedian. Not checking us out like, hey, what's up? No, the guy, the guy at the register, oh Lord, was like, oh, but I'm the final boss, so you gotta fight me. I'm like, dude, if I gotta fight you for these groceries, that's it. I'm going home. that's that's officially my limit. I hit it. I'm done. It's time to go home. So we had a real good laugh over that, and I told my brother the fact that it was we did splurge for the final boss package this year is what jinxed us. Um, but so the second day of the convention, oh my gosh! So each year they have panels. They have, and I'm gonna put some pictures at the end if you guys want to see a little bit of the event. I usually post about it on Facebook and a little bit on Instagram, but I'll put some pictures at the end. Um, Now, I am going to say in this, I think a portion of this video is missing, where I'm doing the brick wall, because my husband had to flip some breakers, and he accidentally flipped the breaker that was connected to my computer. So I lost some footage of the wall, but y'all will get to see me do a little bit of it at the very least. So just a heads up there. Um, but each year they have our free arcade section, they have concerts, they have panels, they have the marketplace, and each year they mix up when they do the panels and when they do the different events. And so like each year we have our favorite years and not so great years because of how our days get stacked. Like last year we had where we would go and do panels in the marketplace for 2 or 3 hours. Then we get to come back to the hotel room and rest some. Then we could go back if we wanted to, because it wasn't, it was like a 5-minute drive or something. This year they were all stacked together. So like our Saturday, we got there at like 10 o'clock and we didn't get back in the room till again almost midnight. I kept my mask on pretty much the entire time, which I'm not used to, but it was okay, except it just made my face break out. And so they had all these panels we wanted to see stacked next to each other. And like I said, this year we did the final boss event, which was my favorite part of the whole convention. This year the theme was Mortal Kombat. And so they had Daniel Pesina, who was one of the original developers and martial artists that they did the actual video for the original Mortal Kombat arcade game. And so he did a special Q&A. They had a local theater that they had us go to, and he did a special Q&A where he talks about his experience with the game. And his story it's a sad story, but it's a real interesting story because he was involved and he put so much into that first game, but because he was friends with the guy who created it, instead of, they did the handshake type agreement rather than a actual contractual agreement, and the company eventually screwed him over big time. And it just became a big thing and stuff. And I mean, I appreciate the guy obviously loved what he was doing so much to still want to talk about it, but I can imagine it's probably a pretty bitter subject for him too, So, real interesting guy. I like martial arts and stuff a lot, so I was real interested in that. Then we got to watch the 1992 version of the Mortal Kombat movie, which was a hoot. I haven't been in a theater. I think I went and watched the very first Sonic with my brother and Brent before COVID really became a thing. And ever since then, I have not been back into a theater. But of course, we had our masks, so we figured this, this would be all right. There weren't as many people in the theaters as there were at the convention. The one year I saw a news story about it was right before COVID happened that year, 2019, and they said 15,000 people were going to go that year. And this year they said there were more people than they've ever seen. So there's at least 15,000 people that go to this thing. So it is massive. Like, in just for me, maybe not for some people, but for me it is massive. I am not used to that many people. So if you ever have a chance to go watch a movie that's like a cult favorite or something with a group of people that really, enjoy the movie in a theater, it is such a different experience than going and watching like just a new release or something. I don't know why, but like it was a lot of fun. Like I said, the Mortal Kombat piece was my favorite part of the whole convention. Of course, I was doing the old lady nodding off thing in the corner, so I was having to desperately try to stay awake. I was so perpetually exhausted through this whole thing, and it was just because so much was happening. And I didn't have any downtime, and so I was trying to stay strong for my brother because I didn't want to be the old lady that was like, no, I'm tired, we need to go back or something. So I wanted him to be able to enjoy himself too. And anyway, earlier that day they had asked us how the hotel room was. I love the place we stay at every year. They're pretty awesome. And I mentioned the air issue. So they go in there and they're like, oh yeah, your air's not working. We've been in there 2 nights and the air just wasn't working and we didn't know. And she's like, well, I can move you to a different room. And I said, okay, well, it'll be like midnight before we get back. And she's like, okay, that's fine. And so on top of coming back to the hotel late, we had to move all our stuff. Fortunately, just like 2 rooms down the hallway, but we had to move all our stuff that night too. I'm telling you. And then the new room had ants. I told you, I don't know what bad luck was following us. Fortunately, we were able to, it was just a few ants. We were able to take care of them, and they came and sprayed the next day, and we didn't see any more. But the new room had air, and it was amazing. I was so tired at that point. I was pretty much willing to come to an agreement with the ants. Like, y'all stay over on that desk over there, and we will keep all our stuff over here. I love this air so much that I'm willing to put up with y'all as long as you just don't invade us or our stuff, Like, I just was that tired. I just honestly was like, okay, whatever, ants. Normally I would just be like, ooh, because me and bugs, but that's how tired I was, y'all. I really was like, surely we can come to some kind of gentlewoman's agreement where y'all stay over there, we'll stay over here, and we'll both enjoy the air conditioning. Oh, Lord. So then Sunday come around. Slept much better that night, though, thankfully, because the air. Sunday was the first day we really just got to kind of relax and enjoy it. We had I don't even know if we had any panels. We just did the marketplace and a few other things Sunday. And then we come back and just chilled in the hotel room all evening. And I felt better. I knew my brother was struggling as much as I was, because instead of hanging out in the living room, it was a suite area. He had his bed, I had my bed. We were in there under that fan. He was playing like Stardew Valley with some of his friends, and I was over there reading a book, and it was just games done quick. Another it's like a speed run type of thing they do twice a year was on the TV, and it was just nice. Like, it was the first day. That was supposed to be what our Thursday night was like, and we didn't get it. And so he was as tired as I was, and so it made me feel a little better. Friday, our flight was later in the day. We were able to check out a little late, take our time getting there. It was pouring rain. Though our flight was on time, we ended up sitting on the tarmac for the equivalent of an hour there, and then when we landed because of gate issues. And I didn't get home that night till like 8, 9 o'clock. I was so tired. So very tired, y'all. It was just, I just went to the stage of perpetually exhausted. Like, I was just sitting there, my eyes had been burning. You get that burning feeling at the back of your eyes. Like, I had had that for 3 days straight. I like I said, I really felt my age this year. Just so much craziness happened. And you know, had we originally planned to go to New York and take the Amtrak down, I think it would have been fine if we had it planned in advance and knew what we were doing and everything. But it was just so much unknown and having to push off stuff and race here and race there, hurry up and wait all day. Like, it was just, that's why it was so exhausting. And so yeah, that was our trip. Like I said, I'm still glad I went. The convention itself was still pretty good. I just wish I hadn't been so tired during it. And like I said, at the very end, I will put up a few pictures if you guys want to see that. I'll have chapters probably broken up in the description so y'all can jump around easier. Um, so yeah, I hadn't really been talking about the picture, but like I said, these pencils did great. I wish I had picked a better combo for like the green on the sunflowers, because I don't feel like there was a whole lot of shade variance there, but like the stones down here come out great. Like, I did a really good job on those. And the brick I wish looked less smooth. I thought about using some ink and like some sort of tool to tap on them to kind of give them that rough looking texture, but at the end of the day, I just didn't want to wreck the picture, and I was happy enough with it. So I just figured it would be a smooth brick and we'd call it a day. So yeah, it was an experience. Next year we have talked about driving, and his friends want to go, but they don't want to go on a plane. They're pretty sheltered and they don't like the idea of flying. And so it's a 13-hour drive. And I'm not looking forward to that, but I know he would have so much fun with them going too. I would still want, obviously I still want to go. I don't mind. His friends are cool. I've hung out with them in the past before, and they're pretty cool. Plus, I wouldn't feel like if I did want to stay at the hotel and nap or something, then he's got his friends to hang out with, so I wouldn't feel so old, like I'm ruining his trip too. So we might be driving next year. Plus, who knows if the flight thing will be resolved by next year, the way things are looking. So, of course, next year is a long way away, and a lot of things can change, as what happened this week. So, again, that was a good thing. When I got back, I'm still, I wouldn't say I'm still recuperating, but I've just been off since I've come back. I wasn't ready to go back to work after taking an extra couple days off. I wish I had just taken the whole week off. Just really didn't need to financially. And because I'm a contractor, I don't get vacation time. And I was just, I don't know, I was exhausted. I've been really worn down because of not necessarily any of my own hang-ups until this week, but because of just all that's going on in the world right now. Like, I'll be honest, I don't know anybody that's in a happy, super duper happy mood right now. Because there's just so many things going awry, and I'm not going to get into a big rant about it here, but I just, I'm really worried what we're heading towards is going to be a lot different. And I don't know, if people don't get their head out of their ass about stupid stuff that really does not make a difference in the grand scheme of things, and if people don't wake up and realize what's going on, those of us in the US are going to be in a pretty, the future is not looking too bright right now, and I am afraid of what's going to happen depending on how November goes. I've even contemplated at some point, depending on how things go, I may not even have a channel in a couple years just because of feeling like I can't say and be who I am. So, um, anyway, that has been weighing me down a lot. And COVID still being a thing has been weighing me down a lot. And just not feeling like people are paying attention has been getting me down. Um, and then had something to really become concerned about this last week. So, September 1st, my contractor role is, at least as of right now, officially going away. My team that I work with, they are doing another restructuring at the company. The team is being dispersed to different groups. My boss doesn't even know where she's going, and yet. And so she wanted to go ahead and give me heads up that, the team as of how it is now will not exist. They are still trying to work out details because there are some things that I do that they're either going to have to find another group to do them. It may take longer than that. So officially, that'll be when the new org goes in place. However, they may need me for an unspecified amount of time if they need me to do any of the critical pieces that I'm doing now. She will know for sure by the end of the month. However, so at this point, like I said, even if it does get put off for a month or two, I have to find a new role. And since she doesn't even know where she's going, she doesn't know what is she going to be the lead of anything. Is she going to have a budget where she can actually hire people? She doesn't, none of my coworkers really know at this point. And so they're in limbo, which also means I'm in limbo because at least in our section of the organization, they're not going to know what contractors they need where until everybody else gets put where they're going. So it's a lot of flux right now. I have worked as a contractor for this company for, it would be 10 years next May. Little bummed by that. They did a restructuring back in 2019, or it was either the year before COVID or it was the year of COVID. I can't remember. It was the year of COVID when it started. They did a restructuring then, and I ended up having to switch roles to the one I'm in now. And then this one's a smaller one, not the whole organization, just a portion of it. So, been through this before. It is not fun. Obviously, being a contractor, I do appreciate they take care of their full-time employees in that even if what they're currently doing is being moved or something like that, they generally, are pretty open about if they want to try something new, moving to a different group or something like that. They do take really good care of their full-time employees. So I do appreciate that. However, as a contractor, obviously, because you're not a full-time employee, you don't get necessarily the same courtesy. And that's one of the things about being a contractor. So yeah, I was upset. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I was pretty upset, and I really do like working with my team. The job itself isn't, necessarily something I love and I'm passionate about, but it was something I could do and I could do very well, and I really like the people I worked with. So I'm more upset necessarily about not getting to work with them anymore than I am about, the position itself per se. However, ever since I got, for a brief period of time when I was in my second marriage, I didn't work. But pretty much since I think 2007, I have worked nonstop. I've never really went a period of time without a job. There was a semester I did student teach when I was getting my master's. But you know, obviously that was working, so I count that. And so the idea of having to go a period of time not having a job worries me. Um, I know I have a good skills. People tell me I have a good skill set. People say I'm not going to have a problem. But when it's you, you know, and you're insecure about yourself anyway, it's a little scary. Not gonna lie, I mean, it's good. It's a good time. I mean, people are definitely hiring, and remote positions are definitely aren't as difficult to find as they were 10 years ago. Now, there's a very, very good chance that a contractor job will be open up with my company, and because of my experience with them and my references and my skill sets, I will have no problem probably finding another role at this company. They are trying to back off on the number of contractors they have, so I'm also going to be looking at full-time positions. But because I don't live near one of their hub locations, they don't have one in Nashville yet. That may be a little difficult. That's why I haven't went full-time yet. Um, so there's a very good chance that I'll just switch to another role, as of September or whenever. And, you know, I'm probably over worrying about it too much, but that is who I am as a person, y'all. If you've been around for any length of time, I am somebody who worries and worries a lot. And I always get nervous this time of year anyway, because this is when they talk about renewals of contracts and stuff, because the fiscal year always starts in September. And so I was nervous anyway. And I don't know. I had a feeling. I had a feeling something was coming down. And so I'm kind of scared about it. Now, financially, we'll be fine. It's definitely will have to tighten like belts. The new releases you just saw, unless it's an occasional book that I just cannot live without, is pretty much going to be hitting the brakes flat out on spending right now for coloring. I have plenty to keep me occupied right now, unless it is a desperately needed refill of markers or something like that. We're just putting the brakes on that for now. Going ahead and being proactive about that. So I'm not necessarily worried about that. I just, because I'm so sick all the time and I have a lot of problems with my energy. This job is very flexible and has worked so well for me because I lose energy a lot this time of day. 2 to 4 p.m. Any energy I had, I pretty much lose, and I have to take at least an hour nap anymore. This year has been better for my joint pain and stuff. I haven't hurt as much, but my fatigue really has gotten worse this year, and I've needed significant naps during the day just to make it through the night, a typical day without falling asleep at 8 o'clock at night. And I worry about losing, now I'm tearing up. I worry about losing that flexibility. And, you know, will my future job be able to be that kind of flexible? Because, y'all, I mean, I can't work a regular office job. I thought about trying to get back into the school system. I thought about trying to get my license renewed and going back to teaching, because I love teaching. Teaching's actually one of the few things I do love. However, seeing what is being done to the education area right now, I don't agree with anything that's being done. And so I would feel like I couldn't be myself as a teacher. I couldn't be what I needed to be for my students. And because of COVID and kids coming to school sick, even masking all the time, I would still be worried. Oh, wait, we're almost getting here to the end. Yes, yes, our finished picture. Okay, I will get back to the tears in a minute. However, we're going to sit here and look at this picture because, y'all, this is one of the pictures, this is one of the things that has helped me survive the week. The fact that this turned out so nicely and so bright and pretty and just perfect. This is perfect. This is exactly what I wanted. And in a week where I just feel like everything's going wrong, this is one of the things that went right, and it just was hugely helpful. This picture makes me so happy. If I didn't want, I would take it out and frame it. If I didn't want to, if there wasn't a picture on the other side, I probably would. But I'm proud of myself for being brave enough to color in one of these books. It turned out great. I didn't mess it up. I want to color more in this book. And the watercolor was easy to do. The pencils were easy to do. This was just the right amount of pencil work for me. Because the picture's not super complex, and it was just enough time. I spent, a couple sessions with the pencils, but and I didn't have to spend so much time. My hand and my arm were hurting. However, I also didn't get to the point where I was just tired of it and wanted to be done with it. This was just about the perfect amount of picture for pencils for me. So I'm super pleased. This is one of my favorites. I say that a lot now, and I'm proud of that. But this is one of my favorite ones this year. And like I said, I'm saying that a lot, so that's a good thing. So one happy moment. But no, what I was saying, I'll talk a little bit more and then wrap this up. So, if you don't want to hear me prattle on about this, I completely understand. You can check out the pictures at the end. Or I should be back Tuesday. I have at least a watercolor base planned for, I think it's Daydreams by Hannah Carlzon. It's a buddy color I'm doing with Tammy. And oh, by the way, Tammy, if you're watching, hopefully this kitty reminds you of Domino. He actually turned out really cute. I was worried the black would cause issues with like where his eyes are at and stuff, but because I used some grays too, it worked out really nicely. So yeah. But like I said, see you Tuesday if you don't want to hear any more about this. Because I completely understand. Everybody's got a rough time right now. And, some people just can't hear anymore about it. And I completely get it. So, but there's just, I just flat out anything else to the side. I don't have the physical capacity to stand up and be in a classroom and teach all day anymore. I just don't. I'm grateful that remote jobs are more of an option right now because I don't think I could do an 8 to 5 job in an office anymore either. Just mentally, yes, probably, but physically, I just can't do it. I just can't do it anymore. This is the reason I've still been able to work, and I've been grateful for that. Is I've been sick, but the remoteness and the flexibility of this job has allowed me to be able to make appointments and work from the couch and be able to rest while I'm working. And so I'm terrified of losing that because I don't know what all I can do at this point. So, and like I said, I've been pretty insecure about myself anyway, just because of the chronic exhaustion. I haven't had the energy to do much, and I don't do much around, I don't feel like I do much around the house. I don't contribute much. The one thing I do contribute is a job and money and being productive and at least having my own money to buy my own stuff and to buy, pay for vet visits and cat food and stuff. So that's the one thing I've at least felt like I've been able to contribute. And the idea of even for a brief period of time not being able to contribute like that really scares me. But there's this other part of me, it's like I really need some time off. I've been so burnt out for so long that in all honesty I would be over the moon if it would lay out where I would have a month or two off to just be. I just don't feel like I've been able to do that either. And so I'm fighting with myself. There's part of me that feels like I'm not holding up to my end of being a productive wife or a human being if I don't work. But there's this other part of me that's like, I'm just exhausted and I need time. But I'm scared if I take the time, there won't be anything at the end of it. And then, yeah, we'll be fine for a few months. But then what happens if it goes longer than that? So, anyway, okay, that's enough of that. I do talk with my therapist next week, so this will be a good topic to talk about. The good news is, my dad works at somewhere. I'm not going to mention the name, but somewhere real well known. A great place to work, I guess. Well, depending on what you're doing. And he's already, I can use him as a referral. There's already some jobs that he's got me wanting to look at. I just have to, the idea of setting up a resume and having to do interviews and stuff is exhausting. And had I known this, I would not have put the blue in my hair. I would like to think people won't care, but it's a weird environment these days, So just the idea of having to go through all the job stuff's exhausting. Now, hopefully all this will work out just fine, and it would also help if I knew what I wanted to do. I've been so tired and so burnt out. I don't honestly know what I want to do. I just want to exchange money for goods and services, It's like I just want a job I feel safe at, that I can do well, that I can not become more tired doing, and that I can earn a paycheck doing, Oh gosh. Anyway, all right. So enough of that. Had my moment, and now I sound terrible, so I really do have to go. Sorry for the tears, sorry for the crying, but I just kind of had to get it out. It's out of my system now, so starting next week, hopefully I can get into the groove of doing what I need to do to get things done. But yeah, so hope you guys enjoyed the video. Maybe not so much the blubbery part, but hopefully just kind of caught y'all up on what's going on. I am grateful at the end of the day that the cats are doing well. Barring my normal issues of flare-ups, I'm doing well. My husband's doing well. Things could be a lot worse. So trying to stay a little positive, but, I am also allowed some time to be genuinely upset about this. So I'm just trying to show myself some grace. So anyway. All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed. I hope you have a good weekend. I hope life's treating you a little better than it's treating me at the moment. And I'll be back Tuesday, hopefully with, my plan is to use the Watercolor Confections vintage pastel. Oh my gosh, now my nose is really stopped up. Vintage pastel set I have. I have an idea for a Hannah Carlson picture. And so to continue Watercolor Summer, we are going to color with that as a base, and then if I have time, we'll add pencil. If not, I'll just have to do it at another time. So, and then I will have some books to flip through next Friday, and we will see what comes down the pike for next weekend. So, thanks guys for watching. Now, let's put some pictures for the event with some music, and bye for now.